Hello, I'm Lauren, and you may be able to tell that I just woke up kind of recently. It's early, I've got a robe on, I've got some coffee. Normally, I don't shoot first thing in the morning. I usually wait a little while, get my toddler up, get her ready. But as she's getting a little bigger, my windows to work and do things throughout the day are starting to look a little bit different. So I am trying something new. So it's early. I've prepped my skin already. I used the Bella Aura Hydra Revive treatment and a little bit of rapid repair around my nose and mouth. And I also put on my sunscreen, which I'm using La Roche Posay. It's the Anthelios Sun Serum, I think is what they call it. And I've really liked it. I've kind of, I was one of those people that never really loved sunscreen, and I've been trying to find ones that I really like. I really like the Coats Prime and Protect, but that one's very silicone-y, and some days I just don't want something that heavy feeling on my face as my base, and it doesn't always play well with all of my makeup. So, but the La Roche-Posay, I have not had any issues with pilling on my makeup, with anything I've mixed it with. And so it leaves a really beautiful, like luminous, almost like glass skin finish. I've really enjoyed that sunscreen. So if you're looking for one that just doesn't really perform like a it performs like a sunscreen, obviously, like it protects your skin, but it doesn't feel like a sunscreen at all. And that's something that I love so much. And it doesn't seem to have any white cast. So if any of you are watching and you have deeper skin tones and you try that out, please let me know, because I would love to know for recommending to other people if it does have any type of bounce back. But at least from what I can tell, and I've had sunscreens that do that, it doesn't have any white cast at all, which is amazing. And I believe it's actually both mineral and like a chemical sunscreen. So I'm going in with my M.A.C Longwear Nourishing Waterproof. I did this foundation recently in another video where I talked a lot about different M.A.C products and how I feel like they're kind of underrated these days. And this particular foundation is really just, it's fast, it's easy, it gives you a really nice quick canvas, which is what I really like. And you don't have to have a foundation and a concealer. Obviously, if you like a more radiant finish, you could leave it like this. It's definitely not a matte like their Studio Fix. That one's pretty matte, I feel like, in comparison. I've used that one before, and I just really wanted to try something different. And they're reformulating their face and body, which I used to love. So, let me take a look here. So what I always like to do, just to make sure, because things will look good from a little ways away, I always like to get up a little closer to my mirror, do some extra stippling where I need to. And oftentimes you'll see me do this where I use my hands and I really just kind of warm up product. The other thing I really like is after using a brush, you can take a sponge. I've been trying out these Ecotools sponges, and they're pretty good. I'm still getting used to the shape. I'm not used to like a really chiseled sponge, but I think they probably made it this way, especially for people who contour, because you can dip that in and then directly, like, you got a really nice crisp line there. And I think I'm actually gonna build up this foundation just a little bit, a little under my eyes and around my nose and this little monster. I've been having some breakouts. I don't normally get them, so I don't know if I'm just stressed. I don't know what's going on. My rapid repair from Bella Aura, though, really takes stuff down overnight. Like, this was a big, like, knot yesterday, and today it's much better. There's always, just by the way, there's always a code attached in description boxes if you ever are wanting to try Bella Aura. I'm an ambassador. I've worked with the company for years. Love their products. I think it's absolutely amazing, and really is transformative on the skin. So if you ever want a discount, gives me a little bit of a kickback, and it'll give you amazing skin. Okay, that's a little better. All right, now I'm going to take the M.A.C Mineralize Skin Finish. I'm the shade Medium Plus, And I'm going to use a MAC brush, another MAC brush. I love their brushes. I've actually kind of discovered I really, really love their brushes. So this is a 129S, and this is perfect for powder. I like the Mineralize because it mattifies and kind of sets everything without making you flat. It's a really beautiful finish. So let's see, plans for today. I don't really have any. So like with the pandemic, it's really kind of like changed, obviously, like how we live, how we do things. There's really no major plans happening at this point. We are going to be moving in like 3 months, so I probably should do something for that. I don't know. I've been like getting rid of things for so long now that honestly I don't think we're gonna have that much to pack up and take with us. I think a majority of it is like kids stuff, and we're getting rid of a lot of that too because she's gonna outgrow a lot of it by the time we're leaving. So now I'm gonna go in with some Laughter blush from Chantecaille. This is a really, really beautiful, fresh kind of pink color. And I'm just going to take another MAC brush. I'm loving the MAC brushes lately. This is the 132S, and it's a duo fiber brush, which is really nice. And it's also really nice because you can use this both with powders and creams or liquids, and it just blends so nicely. I feel like it's kind of, it's a somewhat firm brush, which I feel like a lot of blush brushes are really soft and like feathery, and this one actually gives you a little bit of structure and kind of control because it's somewhat small in comparison to the cheek. But I really, really like this brush a lot. I'm actually gonna try something today. Look how it just wakes up the face. I'm gonna try something today with a bronzer as like a contour. I wanna just try something out shape-wise. As you can see, I have very full cheeks. They come down pretty low and pretty heavy, and there's definitely like the hollows of my cheeks definitely almost have like a scooped appearance because of the fullness of my cheeks. So what I want to try is taking a bronzer contour shade, and instead of just doing like the straight line that everybody does, I want to arc it, and I want to see if that almost has like a lifting effect with my cheeks. Why not? I was thinking about it like as I was falling asleep last night. I was like, I really want to just try something different that I've never really done. So for that, I'm going to use Vesca Kissed by Santorini. I feel like this is probably the coolest toned powder that I have. You can tell it's not overly warm. It's not like a really like gray base either, but we're just gonna give it a try. I'm gonna take that same brush that I used for my Mineralize, and we're gonna just lightly go around the edges of the face. Hello, baby hairs. Good morning to you. Okay, we're just gonna work that into the hairline. I always try to push it back so you don't get that white gap between your hair and your makeup. A little bit harder on blondes because you can end up staining your hair, and that looks kind of weird. I always had trouble with that when my hair was a little bit lighter. Okay, now let's see what happens here. This brush is nice too because of the overall shape. It already kind of has that dome shape. So what I'm gonna do, I'm actually gonna start in the middle of my cheek and push like that, and then kind of go down too. I actually think that looks really good. I mean, I'm gonna blend it, but like, I think the overall effect is more in line with what I'm going for because of my cheek shape. I mean, you can see the difference, much heavier to a much more pert, lifted kind of shape. I'm gonna end up blending that more. I'm gonna just kind of fill in a little bit where I feel like I need it, and then kind of down here as well. Kind of go in the belly of that shape there. Lifting up and then down a little bit. It's kind of like when you've got really full cheeks and they go back really far, it's like really hard to see what's happening back here. Okay. That's, you know, that's not a bad deal, right? I'm actually cool with that. So we're gonna go underneath here because I don't like when there's like a really stark contrast between this portion of your face. So we gotta tie it together a little bit and kind of come back by the ears too. I feel like people often forget to put something kind of on their ears, and that's like a dead giveaway of your makeup. So, okay, I'm gonna take this brush. I always like to kind of like flick off that extra powder to really get in for some blending action. Like that really is like where I think the magic happens, and I think more people should spend time blending. Placement is also super important, but really getting that blending out there, because that's what takes your makeup from looking like makeup to looking much more seamless. Okay, I'm gonna take my blush brush again and just kind of swirl it to tap out those edges a little bit. And then I actually think too, I'm gonna take that puff that I had earlier. I've really concentrated on having my blush and bronzers kind of further back. And obviously, like, I have to blend them a little bit further in too to make it more seamless, but pushing everything kind of further back on my face has had a really great effect opening things up and keeping things lifted. Because if I focus everything right here, look at what that does to my face. I mean, imagine, like, for instance, it makes me look like a goldfish, okay? Like having so much right here in the center of my face. When you move it out here, it not only opens up my face, but it draws the attention to my eyes, which is kind of what I'm going for here. So, all right, now that we've got all that, I'm actually gonna drop a little bit more color down my neck, because I think that that's really important to do. Ooh, hello hair. Pop that down here. Okay, and I'm going to take the Illamasqua Beyond Powder in the shade Daze. I talked about this in my Curateur video, but it is so beautiful and like this opalescent sheen. It's like the highlighter for people that don't like shimmer, like bright sparkly highlighter. It gives you just this beautiful lit from within kind of glow. It's very, very soft. Very, very soft effect. And I just think it is so, so pretty. It's kind of like, I almost want to say it's a little bit like the Hourglass ambient lighting powders, where it just gives you almost like a candlelit effect to your skin. Honestly, I think that you could really use this kind of all over your face and it wouldn't look weird. But I love it as a highlighting powder. Okay, so for the eyes, excuse me, it's early. For the eyes, I want to do a kind of like purpley color from the Haus Laboratories Glam Room #1. I have loved this palette so much. I've used it a ton, like I feel like almost daily since I first got it. It's fantastic if you want kind of a neutral palette that gives you some options of kicking it up a little bit with some purples. They're very subtle, they're soft purples. You've got this, it looks really gold in the pan, but it has like a pink shift to it, which is really beautiful as well. But it's just got some really great neutrals. You can use this black for a liner. I think a lot of times people see black in an eyeshadow pan and they kind of think like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna use that ever. Fantastic if you take a really small liner brush, dip it in there if you're not wearing like a pencil eyeliner and you want a really soft effect. Get some of that black eyeshadow and put it on your lash line. It'll make your eyes pop and look really, really beautiful. So before I put this on, I'm actually going to prep my eyelids. I also talked about this in my MAC video where I really love prepping my eyelids now. I don't think I ever had considered previously like what a difference that would make in the overall impact of my eyeshadow, but also the wearing and longevity of it. But it really does make a huge difference in how my eyeshadow looks all day. I want you to look at something real quick. You can see like it canceled out the natural kind of like discoloration of my eyelids. The interesting thing, my natural eyelids have some of that darker color to them, and when you take that away, it makes my eye look much smaller. So it's interesting because normally when you think about like highlights and contours and things like that, we use contouring colors, darker colors to minimize. But when you do that around the eyes, it can actually make them look bigger because that darker color expands the overall shape, the way that it's sitting in the socket. And when you put a lighter color and kind of like a highlighting color, it really kind of shrinks the eye. So something to keep in mind when you are applying your makeup, what type of effect you're trying to achieve. I think there's really a reason why kind of the smoky eye trend really became so popular and has stayed that way, because it really does have the effect of amplifying the shape and size of your eyes. And you can really kind of manipulate that shape to make your eyes look a certain way. I actually should do a video on that sometime, like trying on different shapes of eyeliner and eyeshadow, just kind of demoing like what that does to your eye shape and look overall. And I think I could do like at the end of the video, I want to do like a lineup of all of the different snapshots so you can get a side-by-side comparison of what each shape does for the eye. Okay, eyes are prepped and primed. So now I'm going to take this lightest purple shade from this palette. Are these even named? They are. Ooh, I have been so bad at not actually saying the names. I'm sorry. Okay, so this one is called Shimmy. How cute. We're gonna, I can't believe it didn't even check to see. So many palettes now, I'm just gonna say this, so many palettes now, they don't even have names for the shades. I feel like smaller palettes oftentimes will. And I actually, the one thing I'll say, I kind of wish that the names were right underneath there. That's something I really like about the Uoma Beauty palette, the Carnival palette that I have, is that all of the shade names are right next to the colors. So when I'm trying to explain to people, I'm not like sitting there like fumbling around. Obviously, I think for most people, like when you are doing your makeup, you're like not really super concerned about the names of shades. But for what I do, it's very, very convenient when they are listed right on the front of the pan. Okay, so as you can see, I'm kind of taking this shape up a little bit. I'm kind of like rounding it. And kind of debating how I want to do this. I haven't, like I said, I kind of didn't really have a game plan with this. I'm just kind of going with what I feel today. Okay, now I'm gonna take my little pointed dome brush here. We're gonna take some of this darker purple shade. These are both a little bit shimmery, they're very pretty. And I'm gonna go right there. I'm not gonna make it too pointed. I do that a lot with my eye looks, but I wanna, again, kind of try something a little different today. Kind of hug in the socket there. Okay, I like that. You can see my eye shape, it kind of makes it look a little bit larger again when you go and you start adding in darker shades, and it adds that depth back. So same thing over here. I always try to be very careful when I'm placing my brush that it is the same on both sides, because I think like for here, like, you know, I kind of did like this. You don't want to like have it angled like that because it's going to make your eyes look different. So I always try to be very cognizant of how I lay my brush when I am doing my makeup. Just do like little windshield wiper motions in there. You have to be careful to not make it too pointed because that's what I'm trying to avoid doing today. And I'm actually going to take just a slightly smaller brush. This is a liner brush from M.A.C. I'm going to take this brush and take that deeper shade of purple, tap off the excess, and go right under my eyelashes. gonna keep this on the kind of outer half of my eye, I guess. Again, kind of one of those little techniques of understanding the placement and how it's going to affect your eye shape. And then I'm going to take the smaller brush that I used for that lighter purple. I'm going to dust it off and use that to softly blend out that darker color. Because I am going to go in again, like I said, with like a burgundy pencil for some drama. And then I'm also going to blend out that color that I dropped into my socket a little bit. I'm trying to like make note of how I'm placing my brush. So I can get things looking as uniform between my eyes as possible. Okay. All right. Cool. So now let's grab this burgundy pencil. I've talked about these before. These are the Victoria Beckham eyeliners, and they are fabulous. The wear of them, the application and the wear of them reminds me a lot of the Marc Jacobs pencils, if you ever have used those. They have almost like a creamy gel type quality. I would say that the Victoria Beckham are a little bit more creamy. I feel like the Marc Jacobs are more of like a true gel where they actually are gonna like dry down and like settle down. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna actually just kind of roll it on my hand to get off any weird sharp little points, because I want it to be just a very soft, smooth line when I first apply it. So that's just a little trick to kind of like warm it up a little bit. And similarly to how I did my eyeshadow shape, I'm going to try to keep it kind of short and close to the eye. I'm not going to like wing it out and extend it a whole bunch. So and I'm also going to make it a little thicker on the outer corner, and then taper inward. So something that is so nice about these is you can see it's like very, very creamy, and they give you a little bit of time to work that shape before they dry down. They come with a sponge on the other end as well. So I'm just going to very softly smudge that. And then I'm going to take just a little tiny bit and kind of almost just dot it on this outer corner for a soft little continuation of that shade, and use the smudger under my eye. And really try to make sure those two meet. But as you can see, it keeps my eye in a very rounded shape rather than being a very almond shape. So we'll do the same thing over here. All right. As I was doing this, I was actually thinking this particular eyeshadow look with the purple would also look really, really good with their gray pencil that they launched recently. It's like an ash, like graphite color, and it's really, really cool. They sent that to me in PR, and it's a really, really beautiful pencil. And I think it's really fun because it's a shift away from everything being so warm toned. And I kind of love that they're like, you know what, like everybody like wears warm tones, and we're just gonna drop a really cool gray pencil. It's one of those days I'm gonna need a lot of coffee. Okay, let's do my eyebrows. I really have loved the NYX pencil, or pen, it's a pen. And I use the shade Ash Brown, and my eyebrows tend to get more sparse, especially underneath because I plucked for so long. But also my eyebrow shape, my natural shape, has always had a dip in it, and it's real wispy on the ends, and I have a really high peak at the top. So what I do for balance with my eyebrows, I've let them fill in a bit, and I start underneath, and I make sure to fill in where that arch is really sparse. And so the nice thing about this pen in particular is that it makes really feathery strokes, which I've tried a lot of pens and I hated them all until I tried this one. I honestly bought this one and I was like, I'm probably going to hate this one too, because most of them just didn't have like a super natural look to them. They looked like you took a marker to your eyebrows. But this one just, it really does mimic hair-like strokes. I know a lot of people like Katie Jane Hughes, for instance, and Sherry Stroh, makeup artists, they like the Glossier pen quite a bit, but I haven't tried that one. I haven't really used Glossier in a while. And I might buy some stuff from Glossier again. I've really missed some of their products, but I've also had kind of mixed emotions in supporting them. There are certain brands that I just don't buy from outright anymore because of their lack of inclusion in their reactions regarding like Black creators and their treatment of them. And so Glossier, I think a lot of people feel like they have been very performative in the way that they have handled things since Black Lives Matter and, the whole out of the gloss account. And, here's the thing I'll say to that. Like, I think every workplace, like, has its issues, but I think that when you have workers that are BIPOC, like, you really need to pay attention to what they're saying to you. You need to pay attention to all of your employees, but especially people of color, just because of the general mistreatment of people of color in this country for so long. So, yeah, I don't know. I think, like, what's interesting that I didn't really realize before was that, like, even though Glossier didn't, like, make a big deal about it, they did address, like, in a post on their Instagram, like, what they're going to do to make changes within their corporate structure to make sure that people are heard when they're, trying to voice concerns about their treatment. And, like, they did even mention in that post out of the gloss. So, I don't know. I feel conflicted. My question, and I would love to know what you guys think of this. How long do we punish brands when they have made a statement that they're going to do better? Like, and I want to know, like, how do we quantify their response? Like, how do we know internally? I don't think we ever would know unless you're working for the company, right? So, like, at what point as consumers do we say, like, okay, I feel like they've actually done enough, when you're not always able to see behind the curtain? I would love to know what people think about that. I just kind of laid out my thoughts on it. And I feel, again, like I said, a little conflicted about, like, at what point do you, support companies again when they've made statements and things like that. Okay, brows, I'm liking them. I'm feeling cute. I am going to use a little bit of a brow gel because that's just something that I do now. My brows tend to naturally fall down. I think a lot of people kind of deal with that. So I'm going to lift those up. This brow product, it's fine. It's an okay brow product, but it doesn't have enough hold for me. It makes your brows look really pretty and soft and fluffy, but unfortunately it just doesn't make them stay up all day for me. But we're gonna use it up anyway because I have it. So it's the Merit 1980. Like I said, I like how it makes my brows look initially, but it needs a stronger hold. If you're someone whose brows tend to fall down, yeah, I don't know that I would repurchase that. Ooh, eyelashes. What do I want to do today? I want something that's going to stay on really, really well. It looks like it might rain today. I don't know, and I might try to go for a walk. So I'm going to use the Thrive Causemetics Liquid Lash Extensions. This mascara is fantastic. It makes your lashes look like false lashes and stay perfect like the entire day. I think a lot of people have said like they like the formula better as it gets a little older and the tube is not so fresh. And I kind of have to agree with that. I think that it does start to thicken up a little bit, which is really nice, and it makes application easier and it makes your lashes look a bit thicker. The one thing I will say, if you have never used a tubing mascara, and especially if you've never used this mascara, it has a learning curve and you can't really build it up after you get that first coat on. So you really have to get that first coat how you want it. So I do spend a bit of time kind of getting it where I want it. And you also really need to make sure if any of them are like sticking together, you can see some of them are kind of sticking together on me. You really want to make sure you separate out through that before you move on. Because if you don't, you're going to have clumps in your eyelashes all day and you cannot get them out until you take off your makeup. So with that, I go through and kind of separate and spoolie out a bit. And I'm actually going to use the safety pin. Do not judge me and don't try this at home. It's rumored that Audrey Hepburn's makeup artist, Alberto de Rossi, used to do this to every single one of her eyelashes, and that's why she had really fluttery eyelashes. Strangely, I believe it, because it works really well. Do I think it's the best thing to do? Probably not the safest, but things we do for good eyelashes. I made a little tiny bump there. I'm going to wait for my mascara to dry before I flake that off. So let's do the other eye. But look at that mascara. I mean, honestly, it's a really, really great mascara. It's just not laying how I want it to right there, though. Okay, that's a little better. That one little chunk of lashes is just not going to do what I want it to. All right, let's put this on. Okay, now I'm going to take whatever is left on this brush and just very lightly tap it on my bottom lashes, focusing on those outer corners. Okay. And that little spot where I bumped my brow bone should be, see, perfect. You just have to wait for mascara smudges to dry a little bit before you dust them off. It's like the best kept secret. I think like when I was younger and I was first learning how to do makeup, so many people would talk about like, you know, using a Q-tip and all this other stuff. And like that makes big streaky smudges. And then it also rubs off your makeup underneath. So like I don't ever use Q-tips. Okay, now I'm gonna use the M.A.C Prep and Prime. This is so great for just like kind of filling in your lip lines and making your lip color last all day. I'm kind of debating what kind of color I want to do. I'm gonna kind of match it similarly to my cheek color, I think, with a little bit of kind of a rosiness. So I'm gonna use the Fitglow in the shade Buff. And I actually think I'm just gonna kind of like stick in the same vein with Fitglow and use their Buff Lip Serum. That's down below me, so hang on a second. We are back. And actually ready for the day. And it's still early. So I'm really happy with how this turned out. I think that burgundy is really fun and it works well with those purple tones. And I just kind of like the overall cohesion of my face. It's purple, but it's not like screaming in your face purple. You know what I'm saying? And I actually really love purples and coppers with green eyes. Anyway, yeah, this was fun. And it's like, it's kind of honestly nice to be like ready for your day at the start of the day. So I might have to start doing morning videos just because it's kind of nice to not be distracted at all. Things happen throughout the day that kind of like pull your attention elsewhere, and I don't know, it's kind of nice like sitting down and just having like a clean slate while I share makeup tips and like, you know, I don't know, it's really fun. I'm really happy with how this turned out overall though, and thank you so much for watching. If you are new here, please make sure to like and subscribe. Helps other people find my videos and I can continue bringing you this kind of content. So thanks so much for watching. Bye.